things I think while I lie awake and contemplate tonight are wearing me out. Well, maybe tomorrow the world will wake and get it right, but I have my doubts. So during the day, well, I design machines of war that scream through the sky. 'Cause I, for one, I like to go to bed free at night under these stars and stripes. And I have my doubt that we're coming out. Yes, I have my doubt. And I have my doubt that we'll make it back out. Yes, I have my doubt. Wind you up and pull the cord until you're spun right out. And I don't understand. So roll the dice and raise the price to feed the machine's mouth. Call it the progress of man. And I have my doubt that we're coming out. Yes, I have my doubt. And I have my doubt that we'll make it back out. And I have my doubt. So I'll drink my stuff and raise some hell and shoot my guns to the end of my time. You can have the booze and go to hell and take the guns, but I know they won't be mine. And I have my doubt that we're coming out. Yes, I have my doubt. And I have my doubt that we'll make it back up. Yes, I have my doubts. So we're all messed up and out of touch. Let's text someone who's in the other room. So no wonder why we don't say hi or know anyone. I might as well move to the moon. So maybe I'm wrong. Well, I hope that I'm wrong. So maybe I'm wrong. Well, I hope that I'm wrong. The things I think while I lie awake and contemplate tonight are wearing me out.
Deuteronomy 20. When thou goest out to battle against thine enemies, and seest horses and chariots and a people more than thou, be not afraid of them, for the Lord thy God is with thee, which brought thee up out of the land of Egypt. And it shall be, when you are come nigh unto the battle, that the priest shall approach and speak unto the people, and shall say unto them, Hear, O Israel, ye approach this day unto battle against your enemies. Let not your hearts faint, fear not, and do not tremble, neither be ye terrified because of them. For the Lord your God is he that goeth with you, to fight for you against your enemies, to save you. And the officers shall speak unto the people, saying, What man is there that hath built a new house, and hath not dedicated it? let him go and return to his house, lest he die in the battle, and another man dedicate it. And what man is he that hath planted a vineyard, and hath not yet eaten of it? Let him also go and return unto his house, lest he die in the battle, and another man eat of it. And what man is there that hath betrothed a wife, and hath not taken her? Let him go and return unto his house, lest he die in the battle, and another man take her. And the officers shall speak further unto the people, and they shall say, What man is there that is fearful and faint-hearted? Let him go, and return unto his house, lest his brethren's heart faint as well as his heart. And it shall be, when the officers have made an end of speaking unto the people, that they shall make captains of the armies to lead the people. When thou comest nigh unto a city to fight against it, then proclaim peace unto it. And it shall be, if it make the answer of peace, and open unto thee, then it shall be that all the people that is found therein shall be tributaries unto thee, and they shall serve thee. And if it will make no peace with thee, but will make war against thee, then thou shalt besiege it. And when the Lord thy God hath delivered it into thine hands, thou shalt smite every male thereof with the edge of the sword. But the women, and the little ones, and the cattle, and all that is in the city, even all the spoil thereof, shalt thou take unto thyself, and thou shalt eat the spoil of thine enemies, which the Lord thy God hath given thee. Thus shalt thou do unto all the cities which are very far off from thee, which are not of the cities of these nations, but of the cities of these people, which the Lord thy God doth give thee for an inheritance. Thou shalt save alive nothing that breatheth, but thou shalt utterly destroy them, namely the Hittites, and the Amorites, the Canaanites, and the Perizzites, the Hivites, and the Jebusites, as the Lord thy God hath commanded thee, that they teach you not to do after all their abominations which they have done unto their gods. So should ye sin against the Lord your God. When thou shalt besiege a city a long time, in making war against it to take it, thou shalt not destroy the trees thereof by forcing an axe against them, for thou mayest eat of them, and thou shalt not cut them down, for the tree of the field is man's life, to employ them in the siege. Only the trees which thou knowest that they be not trees for meat, thou shalt destroy and cut them down, and thou shalt build bulwarks against the city that maketh war with thee, until it be subdued.
Good morning. It's September 28, 2015. This is the Watchman News, and I am your host, Mike Callahan. Kind of an interesting chapter there. I chose it mainly because of the teachings of it, teaching us not to fear, and doing God's work, doing what God wants us to do. Now, does God want us to go and just destroy all these people? No, I don't believe so. I don't believe so. I think we live under a different time. I think God wants evil destroyed, but he will tell us when and how and who will do it. It's not something that we should just wake up one morning and say, hey, I'm going to take this upon myself. No. We let him tell us when, what, where, how. So a lot of these scriptures that incite war talks about, who we should destroy and all that. I think a lot of people really look into that. A lot of people that are against Christianity or against the Bible, they really look into that and use that as cannon fodder, so to speak, against Christians and against the Bible and against God. And I don't think a lot of that stuff really applies today, as much as it is giving us a history of what happened. So, from my understanding, we're supposed to love one another, everybody, even our enemies. And the Bible says that as well. I think a lot of it has to do with discernment. I think that's a lot of the Bible summed up is discernment. And I think those that don't have the discernment need to seek God's guidance a little more. So God will teach discernment. but you have to give him time and you have to give him the control, or else it's just you. It's just man, and we fail. Anyway, wow. So we made it through this blood moon tetrad so far. I didn't think anything real drastic was going to happen. I didn't think, the sky was going to fall or anything like that. I'm not saying it's not some type of a marker or anything like that, but I didn't expect a bunch of craziness to ensue. Although there is very possibly some crazy things going around in the world, and we're gonna cover some of that here soon. Right now, let's go ahead and get suspicious observers out of the way for today, and then we'll get on with the news. I actually have news for you today. It's not just a lot of me just yakking. So anyway, here's suspicious observers for the day. As always, the link is down in the About tab.
Good morning, folks. We're starting today with the incoming plasma filament ripping away from the corona and producing a CME that will completely miss Earth. While it was the prettiest solar eruption of the day, it wasn't the most relevant. We're watching the D region absorption prediction, which shows the effects of the sun's X-ray flare output on Earth's atmosphere. The flashes you see is from a rise in solar flaring that is expected to continue today. Multiple ionization events have caused high-frequency radio blackouts and upped the solar alerts. Coming to spaceweathernews.com, we find 5 M-class events since the uptick began, and in 94 angstroms of light, they will be easily visible as the flashes from the southern sunspot groups. Despite the flurry of increased X-ray events, particle expulsion from the corona has been minimal, and we do not expect any significant CME impacts from those events. In fact, apart from the filament we saw at the start, there really were not any significant ejections of material. The one batch of sunspot groups is turning away, with the only geo-effective concerns being down south near center disk, and with a new group coming in on the north. I see 2 Delta-class areas in that largest southern sunspot group. Those are making our flares. Thus far, the incomer appears magnetically separated, lead to tail, but we've got time. Solar wind speed in yellow, dropping. Earth's magnetic shield gets another day of rest. The northern corona hole is beginning to face Earth, but the magnetic fields in this area are not strong, and thus far, the only seismic uptick has been a swarm in the central Atlantic, right on the ridge. Now that could change in another day here, as planetary geometry will become significant as well. Mercury coming in to conjoin the sun there on Soho. Top news of the day is that Dr. Phillips over at Space Weather will be adding atmospheric cosmic ray readings to ascertain airline passenger radiation risks, a great addition to his website. The general introduction to that topic is at suspiciousobservers.org under Premium, near the bottom of the Electric Earth and Sun page. Zooming in on the West Pacific, a near super typhoon is lashing Taiwan now. Prayers are with them. Hawaii, it appears this little dearie is sticking south. The system south of Mexico is slowly approaching the coastline, while we're also monitoring the Gulf for system development. Top weather notes today include another PG&E problem, a lake dried up, a reservoir in California leaving thousands of dead fish, and the first snowfall of the season for Alaska almost broke records. Both stories can be found at weather.com. Also, folks, if you didn't catch yesterday's morning news, that was not the day to miss. It is a time of celebration for our community in general. Also, folks, just a few weeks from observing the frontier, we'd love to see you out in Pittsburgh, but we're also filming the sessions for those who cannot attend. You will have the opportunity to get those videos as well. Top viewer locations, current conditions, and shots of our star to close. It's 6:05 a.m. Eastern Time, and that's the news. Eyes open, no fear. Be safe, everyone.
And that would be what's going on with our sun. I have something else of interest before I get started with the news. It's been an open tab on my computer like all weekend, and I don't have it down the link in the About tab yet. I need to add it. This is a community FEMA safe room, and this was posted just on 9/3 of this year, and it's a community safe room that FEMA is building in South Haven, Mississippi, and I just kind of wanted to show you this video. It's only a couple minutes long, and I wanted to show it to you and show you what's going on. Now, it may just be totally benign, just as they claim. They claim here that it's for bad weather, for extreme weather conditions. It's also going to be available for other city purposes, subject to FEMA limitations. So, yeah, it could be that, but I find it interesting that FEMA, who's been given just outrageous amounts of money, are building these structures in different areas. And just look at the building. This lady drives kind of around it. Just kind of look at the building and just kind of think about what you're seeing. I thought the structure of that was kind of interesting. First of all, if you're going to build a building to house people during inclement weather, I personally wouldn't design it like that. I don't know about you. I would, if it wasn't underground, I would design it with a low profile, with no windows whatsoever. And I just would design it differently than that. A tornado could easily wipe that building out, unless there's something that I'm unaware of about its construction. And I'm sure there's many things I'm unaware of about its construction, but I'm just not buying that the primary purpose of that building is for inclement weather, for things like, nasty storms, tornadoes, whatnot. I'm not an architect by any means, but that building is rather interesting for the purposes they say it's designed for or there for. So anyway, my first news story, and this is no news flash by any means for anybody that lives in this country. Hopefully this page loads up. I was having problems with loading it up earlier. And wow, I'm going to have problems again, I bet. Wow, that is interesting. Okay, let me do what I did earlier. Oh, no, here we go. All right, why does the U.S. pay more for prescription drugs? Because we're idiots. Just kidding. The United States spends some of the lowest amounts of its total health care on prescription drugs relative to other developed nations. But Americans also pay some of the highest prices for those drugs relative to the rest of the world. In order to pay for a monthly prescription for Nexium, the popular acid reflux drug, an insurer in the United States pays on average $215 per customer. Yet the same prescription in the Netherlands costs about 1/10 less, just $23. According to the International Federation of Health Plans, Americans pay anywhere from 2 to 6 times more than the rest of the world for brand name prescription drugs. Specialty and cancer drugs tend to be the most expensive, but the sky-high prices can be found in commonly used meds as well. For example, Gleevec, a cancer treatment, $6,214 per month per customer in the United States, compared to $1,141 in Canada and $2,697 in England. Humira for rheumatoid arthritis, $2,246 in the United States, compared to $881 in Switzerland and $1,102 in England. Cymbalta for depression, $194 in the United States, compared to $46 in England and $52 in the Netherlands. In fact, there is also a generic version of Cymbalta, so these prices reflect having a cheaper alternative. Most Americans feel that drug companies are putting profits before anything else. A recent poll from the Kaiser Family Foundation found that 72% of Americans think drug costs are unreasonable and want drug companies to release information on how they set prices. And they've come out before, by the way, and it links down in the About tab if you want to read the whole story there. But they will come out and they will say, well, we have to do all this drug testing. We have to get FDA approved. We have to do this and that. And that's the reason for the expensive drug prices. And they'll say that over and over and over. Well, I would think under that situation that those price costs would also reflect in other countries. So now let's think about this. In the United States, for many, many decades, actually, we have been a very prosperous country. Our standard of living has been pretty high for quite some time. Our wages were really high. That has slacked off, but the drug prices haven't slacked off. I know. Oops, sorry about that. I know with healthcare reform, or I should say the Affordable Care Act, they really didn't go after anything that would have made healthcare more affordable, because this is the number one thing that would have made healthcare more affordable, as well as the cost of hospital visits, for instance. Wow, it's astonishing, the cost of healthcare in this country, and I don't mean, I'm not even talking about what we have to pay for insurance or anything like that. I'm talking about what these companies charge, what these hospitals charge. When you go in, you pay several $100s for a Band-Aid at a hospital. Something is not right there. True healthcare reform would be going after these companies. And I've said it before, if we have some type of a natural event in this country or anything like that, and, let's say there's a big ice storm or something like that, you have the government swooping in and prosecuting people for price gouging that own gas stations and charge $9 a gallon or something like that. I mean, they're right there. They hit it. They get them. And that's good. That's what we need to happen in healthcare as well. Because come on, if you have cancer, if you have some kind of serious illness, it should not wipe you out. I mean, it's bad enough that you have that problem to begin with. You shouldn't have to have the problem of losing everything you own or everything you've worked for just to try to sustain your life. That's not right. That's just not right. And it happens every single day in this country. People work all their life to build them up a nice little nest egg. Now people can't even seem to do that. But you've got the older people that were able to do that and build themselves up a nice little nest egg for retirement. Maybe they have plans. Maybe they're going to buy an RV, or maybe they're, whatever their plans may be. And they come down with cancer or arthritis or something else, which I wouldn't doubt wouldn't be somewhat related to the work they did. And then the health care in this country takes every bit of it away. And then they get to live on things like Social Security, and a lot of parents have to move in with their kids to be able to make it, and still have to make choices on which medicine is more important than the other. It's ridiculous. It really is ridiculous. So I wanted to cover that story because, we all knew our prescription drugs were higher. And, it goes into, about buying bulk and, how our hands are tied and the review boards. And, it's just bogus. I'll tell you that. It's really, really bogus. I do have one of those crazy stories for you today. One of those where you have to wonder. Man sets gas station on fire after trying to kill spider with lighter. Interesting. A man in the U.S. set a gas pump on fire as he tried to kill a spider with a cigarette lighter as he was filling his car up with petrol. That would be gasoline. The man miraculously managed to escape serious injury. The incident happened in the city of Center Line, which is not far from Detroit. The man admitted that he took the unusual decision because he had spotted a spider on his gas tank and he has an extreme phobia of arachnids. I wonder if he's got a phobia of fire now. Employee Susan Adams saw what was happening and immediately hit the gas automatic stop button and called the local fire department, while the man quickly grabbed a fire extinguisher to put out the blaze. He was sorry, Adams told Fox 2. He was sorry and said he didn't know. He didn't know. It's just one of those things that happen. Stupidity. Miraculously, the man escaped injury while his car was almost unscathed. However, the fuel pump will need replacing, though it is expected to be covered by the gas station's insurance. He didn't know? Wow. Anyway, it's a 1-minute video. I just don't get it. Oh, look, there's a spider. I'll burn it. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Very lucky, by the way, that there wasn't a lot more happened than that. Very, very lucky. But wow, that just kind of shows you just, how do you not know that gas is flammable and a lighter will light that gas? Anyway, we'll get on. I thought that was kind of a interesting story, I think. Something. Anyway, so let's move on to the Pope. I wasn't extremely, joyed by his visit. It would have probably been different circumstances had it been a different Pope. This Pope, quite frankly, scares me with some of the things that he's been saying. It sounds absolutely opposite of what I've read in the Bible and the way I take it. Maybe, I don't believe I'm that far off on how I perceive the word. But anyway, this is an InfoWars article, for however you want to take that. Pope invoking globalization, and it did seem like he was doing that. The U.S. visit of the first Jesuit Pope in history concluded with a speech in Philadelphia's Independence Mall for a crowd of an estimated 50,000 people at the World Meeting of Families. He pushed for globalization and his usual immigration agenda, preaching for immigrants, religious freedoms in the presence of many celebrities which arrived from all over America. This after receiving an unusual blessing from Madonna during her concert in Philadelphia 2 days earlier, which featured lots of religious imagery, including crosses used improperly and fake nuns. The closing event for Pope Francis followed his Mass in Francisville, which the Archbishop of the Archdiocese of Philadelphia renamed the city during Mass at the Cathedral Basilica of St. Peter and Paul. It was quite boring compared to his appearance in New York at St. Patrick's Cathedral in Manhattan for the evening prayer, where he delivered pretty shocking words stating with no shame to his flock that we need to remember that we are followers of Jesus Christ and his life, humanly speaking, ended in failure, the failure of the cross. Wow. That's what I'm getting at. That's the kinds of things that I'm talking about. I really don't get what this Pope gets a lot of his ideas, a lot of his, I know where he gets them, but doesn't he think that Christians are going to notice? Doesn't he think that, we're going to say, hey, wait a minute here, what about thou shalt not kill? So why are you making it more forgivable to abort a child? Why is it that you're approving this and approving that? Things that the Bible is directly against. It's very interesting. And still yet, we are waiting to see the Catholic Church come down on all these pedophiles that have been operating within the Catholic Church for many, many, many years. And instead of coming down on them, they just shuffle them around and hide them. And that's why I kind of always held the Vatican with, very loosely in my mind, because it didn't seem like they were really following the teachings of the Bible. It's interesting, and they take in all that money, and they really don't. They could end homelessness. They could end world hunger. They could do all of that, but they don't. They just don't. What they give back to the people are peanuts in relative to what they take in. It's really interesting. And it makes somebody really question and ask what's going on. And then you get a pope in like this that, is telling us that, it's unhealthy to go straight to God, that we should go through him. What? I don't get it. I don't get it. And I don't understand why he's not being called out more in the mainstream. I really don't. I don't get why their churches, including Catholic churches, aren't calling him out. It's very interesting. And I think it speaks for a lot. But anyway, let's go ahead and get on to more news. I don't want to stick on the Pope on a rope because, I know, bad joke. So let's go to, let's talk a little bit about Syria and what's going on with Syria. Now, I don't know. I cannot confirm this or deny it. But there was a video that I saw that popped up on my Facebook. And I don't know that it is video that it's actually said. Supposedly, I guess within the last couple of days, Russia has started to bomb Syria. Or I should say Russia has started to bomb ISIS in Syria. Now, I've looked around for news and stuff like that, and I found a bunch of articles saying that Russia was going to. But I would think, unless there's a total media blackout, I would think that the moment Russia actually starts doing it, that it's going to be all over the news. I would think, unless there's a total media blackout. But let me play you a little bit of this video, and I don't know, you use your own discernment on it. Again, if anybody knows this to be true, please come over to the Facebook page and comment or send me a message, because it's very interesting. And I don't know why, but sound does not come up on certain videos. Interesting. But that's okay. There's not, I mean, you hear the bombs exploding, and you hear people screaming Allah Akbar a million times. So the audio is really not that important. But I don't know if this is really going on. I don't know if this is video from somewhere or something else. I really don't know. I have no idea. The link is down in the About tab to where I seen it, or, you know, who posted the video. So, and I just thought it was strange too that they're lobbing bombs off of helicopters. I just thought that was, maybe that's something that maybe that's how Russia does it. I don't know, but they're obviously doing it. It looks like the video is like 11 minutes long, and I don't have to play it all. You know, you'll get the idea. But wow, they whatever this video is from, whoever did a number on it. And if this is true, and there is a huge media blackout, I think that should speak for itself. I think that says loads to what is going on. You know, it's really came out, it's documented that the U.S. is behind funding and training and all that of ISIS. And so I figured whenever, you know, Russia stepped up and made an actual attempt to fight ISIS, that it was going to cause a lot of a problem. And you know, there could very well be a large media blackout when it comes to this, because the U.S. government, I can see for a couple of reasons. For one, they're funding and hidden support of ISIS, as well as you know, if Russia can go in and wipe out ISIS like this without any problem, it makes our years of fighting ISIS look like we're not very good fighters. So, you know, there's a reason why we've had such an issue stamping out ISIS. And I fully believe it's because we really weren't trying. So not when we're sitting there making airdrops right into their hands, you know, leaving vehicles and all kinds of equipment and weapons and everything else to where they have easy access to them. It's hard for me to believe that we aren't purposely doing that. And, you know, we have the technology, put it that way, to be able to fight. I mean, that's what we've done ever since our country has been founded. You know, we've learned, you know, invented new ways and the best ways to destroy people. But there's other big boys on the block, like Russia and like China. And, you know, it's important that we remember that, because if it comes to a situation to where we go up against like Russia and China, we're going to have our hands full. Very, very full, especially with those two countries. So anyway, that's there's 11 minutes here, and you know, it's probably pretty boring to sit here and just watch what's in front of you. the link's down in the About tab. Use your own discernment. If you know anything one way or another, please visit the Facebook page and leave a comment. I would highly appreciate it. Let's go ahead and get back to. I've got a little bit more about that situation. China's military advisors, and we all know what military advisors really are, heading to Syria to help fight ISIS. China will be helping out the Syrian government in the fight against the Islamic State, formerly known as ISIS. You see how they keep changing the name here? By sending military advisors, media reports have claimed. The Chinese will be arriving in the coming weeks. A Syrian army official told the Lebanon-based news website Al-Masdar Al-Arabi, something like that. I'm not very good at that. The report claims a Chinese naval vessel is on its way to Syria with dozens of quote-unquote military advisors on board. They will reportedly be followed by troops. The ship is said to have passed the Suez Canal in Egypt and be making its way to the Mediterranean Sea. According to the website, the advisors will be joining Russian personnel in the Latakia, something like that region. Meanwhile, an Israeli military news website, Debkafile, has cited military sources as saying that Chinese aircraft carrier, the Liaoning, something like that, CV-16, don't laugh at my pronunciation of this stuff because I have no idea, has already been spotted in the Syrian port of Tartus on the Mediterranean coast. It was said to be accompanied by a guided missile cruiser. The news comes after Russia, Iran, Iraq, and Syria agreed to establish a joint information center in Baghdad to coordinate their operations against Islamic State militants, according to the sources. The main goal of the center will be gathering, processing, and analyzing current information about the situation in the Middle East, primarily for fighting IS, a military diplomatic source told Russian news agencies on Saturday. Russian President Vladimir Putin has recently asked about Russia's presence in Syria, to which he replied that Russia's activities are limited to supplying weapons to the Syrian government, training personnel, and providing humanitarian aid for the Syrian people. We act based on the United Nations Charter, i.e. the fundamental principles of modern international law, according to which this or that type of aid, including military assistance, can and must be provided exclusively to the legitimate government of one country or another upon its consent or request, or upon the decision of the United Nations Security Council, Putin told CBS's 60-Minute show. Putin reiterated his support for Syria's regular army, the army of President Bashar Assad. Assad, is confronted with what some of our international partners interpret as an opposition. In reality, Assad's army is fighting against terrorist organizations, Putin said. Russia's president added that U.S. attempts to train Syrian opposition to take on Islamic State have failed. The U.S. had aimed to prepare up to 12,000 fighters, but only 60 managed to complete the training, and only 4 or 5 actually fought with the opposition, while others fled to IS with American weapons, Putin said, citing U.S. Senate hearings. In my opinion, provision of military support to illegal structure runs counter to the principles of modern international law and the United Nations Charter, he said. Back in December of 2014, China offered to help Iraq in fighting Islamic State militants, volunteering to assist with airstrikes, but it said it would not join the U.S.-led coalition against ISIS. In one of the latest atrocities committed by IS, the terror group used an online magazine to post pictures of 2 hostages, 1 Norwegian and 1 Chinese, putting the men up for sale. So very interesting. I have asked a couple of times myself, and I don't know if I've said anything on the news or anything, and I've asked a couple other people, friends of mine, what they've thought. But it really starts to make me wonder. You know, when I start reading about Revelations and it talks about And I'm gonna get these. I'm not. This is not verbatim, but the bear comes from the north, and I believe the dragon comes from the east or whatnot. When you start reading of that, I always thought they were talking about Israel. But I have to question that now. And again, if you have any thoughts, opinions, or knowledge to it, hop on Facebook, hop on the Facebook page, leave a comment. The reason I have comments disabled for the YouTube channel is it cuts down on trolling. There seems to be uncontrollable trolling going on YouTube. And by diverting all that type of traffic, all the comment traffic over to Facebook, it has done a very good job. But anyway, it starts to make me wonder if they aren't actually talking about Syria. And the Bible does talk about the fall of Damascus and whatnot. So it's just interesting. And I could be way off, we're kind of early in this, so to speak. So if, Israel still has plenty of time to get involved, so it could still be referring to Israel, but, wow, this is something we have to keep very close eye on. And, again, I don't know if that previous video I showed you with the bombing going on, I really don't know. I don't even know if that's Syria that we're seeing getting bombed. Don't know who it is that's doing the bombing or anything else. I really have no idea. It was just something that I saw posted on Facebook. I thought I would bring it to you guys because you guys are a very well-informed group of people. So, or you may have connections in Syria or whatever the case may be. I'm hoping to get some input as to whether or not that is Syria, whether or not that is happening now, and if it's Russia doing that. Because I'm telling you, Russia starts getting directly actively involved in stomping out ISIS or ISIL or IS or whoever they're going to call them tomorrow or the next week. Then wow, the U.S. is really going to take an active stance. They really are. Because, again, there's document after document, there's statement after statement about us directly funding, training, and supporting ISIS, whether we are doing it in the media or, outwardly in our government sessions and whatnot. It's obvious. It's obvious. I mean, they create a group of people, they train them and all that, and years later they pop back up to go against our interests or whatever. Yeah, it's just this whole war on terror. The whole idea of it from the beginning was to create an endless war of boogeymen that we can't seem to stamp out, and the only way that we can seem to protect ourselves is by taking every bit of our liberties away, by monitoring everything we do and say. And it's craziness. None of it makes us any safer. You can monitor all my phone calls, text messages, my Facebook, that's not going to do anything against terror. Just like, 340 something million Americans. It's not going to do anything. It's not going to do anything to stop terror. The only thing that's going to stop terror is for them to stop terrorizing. That's it. That's it. You would think that if our country was in danger of being harmed, you would think that instead of them telling the people to just throw their hands up and give all their rights away, that it would be a little bit smarter to enforce the reason why we haven't been invaded, which is because of all the firearms, which is because of all the vigilance in this country. The people will look out for its country if we're allowed to. And that is why no other country has been dumb enough to just throw boots on the ground over here and start a war. because the people would be coming out of the woodwork and be fighting. And we have the tactical advantage because we know our terrain. We know our locations, our towns. We know, and that's huge in a battle. Knowing your terrain, that is absolutely huge. And I know with technology, things are getting a little bit, drones, for instance, it's kind of hard to take a drone down with your AR-15. A little bit easier for the drone to take you down with its missile. But still, I'll tell you what, that's going to take a lot of missiles. There's, what did I see? I swear it was something like 300 million firearms. Almost enough firearms for, one per person. And I could be off on those numbers. That's just what I'm recalling in my head. So, there's a lot of people, and at some point, you just got to put boots on the ground. So why is it that our U.S. government is trying to disable us from defending our own country? And yet arming other people in other countries so they can defend theirs, supposedly. I mean, I don't know. I don't think it's so much about defending, them being able to defend themselves is what it is. Us trying to put in who we want in. I think it's more that than anything. But it's definitely food for thought. But that's what I have for you today. Links are down in the About tab. That's what I have. God willing, I will be back tomorrow. I've been a little bit busy over the weekend, replacing some brake lines on a car tomorrow. Have to finish it up on that today. I'll be starting to do that as soon as I get done here. Fun. Always fun stuff. I like staying busy, though, or trying to. Anyway, that's what I've got. Links are down in the About tab. Please check out our GoFundMe for Transforming Disabilities. Check out our Watchman News Facebook page or Transforming Disabilities Facebook page. Check out God. Take a moment and pray. Take more than a moment. Take a while. Have that conversation. With that, be one with your spirit. Be at peace and be with love. God willing, I'll talk to you tomorrow morning. Have a good day.